just a few moments, Congress will meet to certify President-elect Donald Trump's election win. Vice President Kamala Harris, who lost to Donald Trump in November, will be the one to preside over today's certification. It's a tough personal position, but Harris says her job is to do the job of the people, the one she's been given.
This duty is a sacred obligation, one I will uphold, guided by love of country, loyalty to our Constitution, and my unwavering faith in the American people.
Kamala Harris there. So let's bring in CBS News election law contributor David Becker for more on this process. David, nice to have you with us on a Monday. So this process is tradition. It is also constitutional. Walk us through what the American public can see.
Yeah, prior to 2021, most Americans might not have known this was even happening. You probably would have to turn on C-SPAN to watch it. It's a very, very routine ministerial act where the joint session of Congress, in its first official act after electing a speaker, gets together to count the electoral votes that they already know exist and formally certify the new president or the winner of the presidential election. And again, prior to 2021, we wouldn't expect to see any problems. This is what Vice President Harris is doing today, presiding over an election that she lost and certifying her opponent as the winner, has been done in the past by people like Vice President Gore in 2001 and Vice President Nixon in 1961. Those two elections being even closer than what 2020 was. And to her credit, she's doing her duty just as Vice President Pence did in 2021, albeit he experienced a lot more pressure, threats. And we should remember that while we expect this year to go very smoothly, I don't expect it to take more than an hour. I don't expect there to be any substantial objections. There are better guardrails in place this year, even if there were objections. But 2021 was something extremely unusual and very, very damaging to the soul of America. It was an attack on the U.S. Capitol. There were people running through the halls, hunting people like Vice President Pence and Speaker Pelosi. And it took hours, well into the evening, into the early morning hours, until Congress performed its duty, thanks to heroic efforts by Senator McConnell and Speaker Pelosi and others to get their parties together to get this work of the American people done.
Do you think that's why Vice President Kamala Harris put out this statement speaking to duty and to the dignity of the office and the need to do the job and follow process and procedure and tradition?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I don't think there was any serious doubt that she was going to perform that duty. She conceded the election. She has never raised concerns about how the election was run. She has never spread any false information about how the election was conducted. So I think it was always going to be the case that she was going to do as her predecessors have done and certify the election. But given that it was only 4 years ago, and that memory should still be fresh in our minds, even as some people are trying to rewrite history about what happened 4 years ago today.
All right, so we are mindful of what happened 4 years ago today. I want to jump in and ask you this question, mindful of the January 6th riots. They prompted Congress to pass the Electoral Count Reform Act in 2022. Walk us through the process of what that means and how that could affect what happens today.
Yeah, that was really important. It was a bipartisan effort. Senator McConnell was very involved in it. And what it does is it creates very strict mileposts that must be met for the electors to be certified and ascertained and for them to meet. That happens in December. And then that is final. There are opportunities to challenge that beforehand if they want to. That has not happened this time. It didn't happen in 2020 either. And then it clarifies that January 6th is a ministerial ceremony, that the vice president's role is purely ceremonial. They just preside over the proceedings. They count the votes. It limits the number of grounds for objections, and it raises the threshold. Prior to this year, it could be, an objection could be raised by just one member of the House and one member of the Senate, and then retire to debate for at least an hour about those electors. Now it's 20% of each House. 20 senators, 87 members of the House would have to object to a state's electors in order for it to go to debate. I don't anticipate that's going to even come close to happening.
All right, David, it's always so good to have your expertise there. Thank you for streaming with us today. We hope things are smooth sailing.